Hello and welcome back to this afternoon session. Now, just to recap, this morning we have Mr. Drummond Reed, Chief Trust Officer, co-founder and steering committee member of the Trust over IP Foundation, sharing with us developments in verifiable digital identity. We then have Dr. Anne Kavukian, Executive Director of Global Privacy by Design Center, introducing the Privacy by Design framework. We also have Ms. Carla McKenna from the Global REI Foundation, Dr. Albert Yu, CEO of Haikang Life Corporation, and Mr. Gary Yang, President of the Hong Kong Smart City Consortium, sharing their views on the adoption of a trusted digital identity framework for Hong Kong. Our thanks to the speakers and panel members. This afternoon's session will focus on the enabling global standards and supporting mechanism for this trusted identity infrastructure. Joining us will be Dr. Alan Shi, President of the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong, Mr. Albert Sid, Secretary for Innovation and Technology of the Hong Kong SAR government, Mr. Bernard Chen, Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development. Later on, we will have Mr. Stephen Wolf, CEO of Global Entity Identifier Foundation, to introduce more about the REI infrastructure, and Professor Joshua Mok of Lingnan University to discuss the impact of a decentralized identification framework. Technology has no value if it's not used, and we learned from the discussions this morning that one important area of application is to support our response to the COVID pandemic. The workshop later this afternoon will include a demo on the use of digital credentials in the medical field. So let's start this afternoon session by inviting Dr. Alan Shi, President of the Chinese Manufacturers Association, to give a welcome remark. Dr. Shi.
It gives me a great pleasure to join you all today at this conference organized by the Hong Kong Public Key Infrastructure Forum and supported by the Chinese Manufacturers Association of Hong Kong, CMA in short. It is my honor to kickstart the afternoon section. The pandemic has accelerated the shift of offline purchase to online ones. This morning, several expert speakers showed how trust over IP can benefit numerous sectors of a society and can help to reopen economics. Indeed, digital trust is fundamental in the world of e-commerce. And this enables business to capture the most opportunity from digital development and manage the risks that accompany digitalization. Digital transformation is also a public sector imperative. In the past few months, we have seen that the Hong Kong SAR government has been adopting many technologies to track the spread of disease in the fight against COVID-19. These digital technologies also create opportunities to improve government service and management of public resources. The Hong Kong SAR government has recently released a Smart City Blueprint for Hong Kong 2.0, including numerous initiatives spanning different sectors. To reform from this unprecedented crisis and achieve smart city strategies, I also hope that the government will continue to introduce more initiatives to enhance the overall digital transformation of the business community, particularly the manufacturing industry, which has been hit hard by the new normal and continue to thrive in the post-pandemic world. Maybe in a moment, Dr. Bernard Chen, Undersecretary for Finance and Economic Department, can share with us the government strategies for using technologies to support stronger economic development. Public-private partnership is essential in smart cities development, as the government cannot do everything on its own without engagement from major stakeholders in various sectors. A good example of this is the Trust Over IP Foundation, which links governments, NGOs, and the private sector to enhance security and privacy proposals for commerce and business in the digital era. As one of the largest business organizations in Hong Kong, CMA, as always, will continue to collaborate with the government and other institutions to make our city smarter and sustainable. I look forward to hear your views and avenues we may explore to deepen and strengthen our collaborations. Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Albert Sid, joining us by video. So let's switch to the message recorded by Mr. Sid.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Hong Kong Public Key Infrastructure Forum on organizing this conference. Digital identity is an essential building block for smart city development. Since we first launched the Smart City Blueprint for Hong Kong back in December 2017 to take forward this digital infrastructure initiative, after years of hard work, we have recently launched the iSmart one-stop personalized digital service platform, which provides a completely new experience for the public to log in and use online services with a single digital identity. I'm delighted to see experts and practitioners from different sectors, including the government, academia, and industry, are meeting in this forum and share their insights on digital identity and its adoption in various fields at this conference. I wish all a most enriching experience and fruitful exchange with our inspirational speakers today. Thank you, and may I wish you all good health.
Thank you. Now, let's move on and invite Mr. Bernard Chan, Undersecretary for Commerce and Economic Development, to share with us his views.
Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My great pleasure to be here. Congratulations to Eva and your team for hosting this two-day conference, bringing together industrialists, ICT professionals, academics, and important stakeholders from the trade to share insights and experience in building a more secure digital world. Over the past 12 months, the past year, COVID-19 has brought unprecedented challenges to just about every sector of the economy. SMEs in particular have been facing severe hardship, including disruption to their operations, liquidity shortage, a big drop in their revenue, and heightened export credit risk, etc. Hong Kong SAR government has introduced a series of relief measures through our budget and 4 rounds of anti-epidemic funds. And that has helped to a certain extent keep businesses afloat and protecting the jobs and also helping the people of Hong Kong. But beyond that, there is an imminent need for SME to turn to innovation and technology, to turn to digital transformation to help them resume and revive their businesses as quickly as possible during and after COVID-19. The pandemic has indeed brought a lot of challenges to us, but it also gave rise to a faster adoption of innovation and technology. In particular, the stay-at-home trend presents enormous business prospects for companies shifting to e-commerce and home digital entertainment. And to help our trade to seize such opportunities or to help them with this business transformation, the government has launched and then extended the DBIS program. And we have also fine-tuned a number of other platforms, including the Export Marketing Fund, the BUD Fund, and also the Tech Voucher, so that our SME may adopt e-business more readily. But more than a short-term opportunity, innovation and technology is central to Hong Kong's future. And the government, together with the private sector, are actually aggressively pursuing that future. To that end, the government has, over the past 3 years, allocated more than $100 billion to establish a number of INT programs and initiatives with the objective of enhancing our technological infrastructure, helping our tech startups, and also nurturing talent. And the role of innovation and technology will become even more important given the newly announced National 14th Five-Year Plan. The plan puts technology at the heart of our country's social and economic development, with innovation being the key driver for quality growth. For us, that means we want to collaborate more closely with our neighboring cities in the Greater Bay Area. And also, we want to expedite the plan to build GBA into an international INT hub. The good news is we are well on our way to doing that or accomplish that. The GBA cluster city development is committed to becoming a world-class INT hub, and Hong Kong will lead the way to do that and to accomplish this ambitious goal. In particular, the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park will create a central base for regional and global cooperation in R&D. So you see, there is a lot going on both locally and regionally to push forward the development of innovation and technology. In order to further speed up this process, I suppose a universal or a well-accepted standard for us to how we use digital credentials to enable and enhance safety, privacy, security, reliability, and data ethics in all the INT programs and initiatives that we are having. That will certainly be beneficial to all parties involved. So I'm really glad that HKPKI is hosting this platform to really look into this issue. And in doing so, hopefully we can embrace technology and digital transformation more effectively and thereby accelerating the business rebound. And speaking of rebound, Hong Kong as a city is well known for our resourcefulness and resilience. Yes, today we are facing unprecedented challenges, but if you look at the development course of Hong Kong over the past several decades, there lies new opportunities in every crisis, and every difficulty holds the key to future development. With capable and passionate business leaders like you all, I'm sure Hong Kong will bounce back in no time, and we will grow stronger in the process. Once again, congratulations to the organizing team. Thanks again for having me. I wish you all a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So welcome from my side. Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Stefan Wolf. I'm the CEO of the Global Legal Entity Identifier Foundation. And I'm very grateful and delighted to be with you today. I'm a little bit sorry that I can't and couldn't make it personally due to the circumstances, but I think, you know, with all the technical capabilities that we have today, we can overcome this issue. And please feel free at any given point in time to raise questions. We'll be happy to answer them along the way. I am sure that many of you have not heard about what we call the Legal Entity Identifier, or short LEI. So in today's presentation, I'm going to give you a little bit of an update of the LEI situation today. and in particular about the public and private sector support for the LEI program on a global scale. And then we want to turn to, the next level, and that is, the digital transformation of the economy. And we've just heard from the speakers how much emphasis is put into this. And we're going to discuss later how the LEI system can support you. With this having said, I'd like to start with the LEI presentation. I am the CEO of a rather small organization in Switzerland called the Glyph, in short form. We have roughly 50 employees around the world, and our role is to be the guardians and the compliance officers, if you like, of the global LEI system. We're a not-for-profit Swiss foundation. Switzerland has been chosen deliberately in the beginning in order to stay neutral from any of the major economic and political blocs. The LEI system was originally designed and put in place by the FSB and global regulators by mandate of the G20 nations in the aftermath of the financial crisis. And since then, we have been overseen by 71 regulators and 19 observers, including Hong Kong regulators, in a forum that we call the Regulatory Oversight Committee, or short LEI ROC. Members of the LEI ROC come from around the world, and we really represent global regulation in this space. Glyph has been set up as a public-private partnership, and you can see this here that we have an oversight committee on the public side, but we have 16 independent directors in our board, and they're mostly coming, or all of them coming, from the private sector, from various directions. So we have independents, we have researchers, we have bankers, we have other industry representatives in our board. It's a very intriguing group of people, and we like working together with both the regulators and our directors for the benefit of the LEI system. Glyph is managing a partner network, so we are not issuing the identifier itself, and I will come and show you later what the LEIs look like. But we have a network of currently 39 partners around the world that are the issuers for the LEIs, and our role is to set the technical, organizational, and legal standards for this partner network. We're, if you like, we're the governance body in this network, and we do a number of very important things like the accreditation of those partners. Each LEI issuer must go through a very rigorous accreditation program, several months of audits, in order to make sure that we have the right partners with the right skills, the right processes in our network. All of these partners work on a not-for-profit basis. That means we also have a control function there. And of course, checking the quality of data, services, and everything else on a daily level is part of our duty. And that led to roughly 1.7 million, 1.8 almost million LEIs so far, and I'm going to show you a couple of LEIs later. Predominantly coming from the financial sector. This is the origin of the system in the aftermath of the financial crisis and the Lehman collapse. So derivative markets, security markets, and now lately credit markets have been the first target for the LEI system. But the LEI is use case agnostic and ready to tap into other industries. Currently, we have the following global distribution. It all started in North America. That's where the first regulation were put in place in 2011, 12-ish, the Dodd-Frank regulation, and that is predominantly the derivatives market. Other countries joined that. You see Europe, you see India, you see Hong Kong, Singapore, and Far East. They joined the program on the derivative side level, but the vast majority of derivative contracts are held with counterparties or with banks in North America and Europe. That's why you see here such a distribution. Europe took it to the next level in 2017 by regulating the securities markets. That means every issuer of any financial instrument and every trader and counterparty of banks for trades in financial instruments in Europe must have an LEI. But our current focus is really on Asia, where we see for 4 consecutive quarters now the highest growth rates. We have very ambitious plans in India and China and a few other countries. And I'm going to talk about that in a short moment. The distribution of regulation is shown on this map. And as you can see, again, the most regulation comes from Europe. That's for historical reasons. But we see now a growing number of regulations in Asia as well. What is the public and private sector support for the LEI program? I mentioned in the beginning that the organization was founded based on a recommendation or based on a mandate from the G20 nations, and the FSB was very instrumental. The Financial Stability Board was very instrumental in that. But it hasn't stopped there. And I would like to give you a few reasons why people are so interested in the LEI system. Just lately, the most important and strongest recommendation was from the European Systemic Risk Board. It's a very powerful organization with national bankers, ECB and others sitting there, and they made a recommendation to adopt the LEI in Europe on a holistic scale. That means their recommendation is even to create a legal framework for the LEI that every European company, every European legal entity, as we call them, would get an LEI through authoritative sources, for instance, business registries. It's a very far-reaching recommendation. And I understand that Europe and the European Commission is currently looking into when, how, and if to implement this recommendation. A little bit more into the details and the weeds for financial regulation. We're talking about payments in particular. This is a new area for the LEI. The Financial Stability Board issued a roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments. Cross-border payments have been painful for many, many years, very expensive. The requirements to check on the background of customers of banks, for instance, led to issues in developing countries where the current system for the anti-money laundering regulation and terrorist finance regulation wasn't really well supported by locals. So there were lots of issues there, and the FSB is addressing this in the Financial Stability Report. And the same is the Basel Committee of Banking Supervision. Again, sound management of risks related to money laundering and financing of terrorism, a major task of this. And the European Banking Authority just recently published a response on the EU AML Action Plan. Payments is insofar very interesting because we all have a bank account. So payments means if you bring the LEI as identifier into payment messages, you would reach really everyone. The legal entity identifier is only suited for legal entities, not for private citizens, for instance, but for all legal entities in the world. That's the vision in the long run. There should be only one identity, and this identity should include a digital identity. And here you can see a few bodies who are really interested in developing that further. But it doesn't stop there. We have great support. I mentioned Asia. The Chinese authorities have just recently published a roadmap that will bring China to the forefront of the LEI issuing countries. So basically, they want to encourage people to use the LEI in everything that is cross-border. And when I say cross-border, I would like to give you the first hint on other use cases. In China, there is already a regulation in place that 29 countries shipments coming from 29 countries. The import declarations must show the LEI from those countries, mostly those countries with a not so accurate local authoritative source for this. But nevertheless, it is important that customs organizations around the world, the same in the United States, by the way, the customs organizations around the world are now looking into the LEI, which paves the way for the LEI into supply chain and other areas. The Chinese plans are pretty exciting for us. I mean, they want basically to double the LEI number every year. And we've seen tremendous support there, and I'm sure we'll hear much more from them. The other country that has brought the LEI to the next level is India. India is also very strongly growing. India has, next to the financial markets regulation, they are the first country who put together a regulation starting in April 1st, actually. Counterparties of payment messages must be identified with an LEI, and the banks, of course, as well. So this is the first time that the LEI got implemented in payments. The Bank of England has also announced that they're going to use the LEI in payment messages, and I think this is going to become a global trend. India is insofar interesting because they also have a regulation for credit borrowers that must have an LEI for credit reporting purposes. Now, leaving the financial sector, going into the world of all other businesses, the International Chamber of Commerce has just recently issued a guide on identification system where the LEI is mentioned, and we understand that the ICC is working at the moment on guidance to their members for the use of the LEI in numerous types of applications and systems. The important thing about the LEI is, and that's what we're going to see now, if you allow me to switch to another screen. So how you can see our website. Our website comes in 13, 14 different languages. Please feel free to choose the language of your choice. But here you can see the LEI data. And I would like to show an example simply by going to the search engine, and I select the country, Hong Kong. And you see we have already 9,323 companies, legal entities covered in Hong Kong. And if you click on one, let's take just this one, then you can see the LEI code, which is a 20-digit dumb number. There's no semantics with that. But this number links to the referential data, as we call it, like, for instance, the legal name of the company. Here you see an English translated name, which is very interesting and very good for international use of the system. You see where the company is registered. So the LEI always points back to the authoritative sources. Here, in this case, it's registered at this number in Hong Kong. The country code, the ISO standard is used here. We have legal form. The legal form is now a new standard from ISO, and I'm very happy that Glyph has been chosen to be the maintenance agency for this standard. Now, what you see then is address. We have legal domicile, we have headquarters address. In most cases, this is the same, but you can imagine, let me give you an example from America, where people, are registered in Delaware, but operate out of New York. And then you would see different addresses here. We have some registration details. For instance, who issued this LEI, when it was issued for the first date, for the first time, and when it's up for renewal. That's a refresh of the data that is enforced. And you can see this one has been updated very, very recently. Another interesting aspect of the LEI system is that we carry information on ownership. The ownership information is accounting consolidation rules based. That means, each legal entity must report on those parents that fully consolidate the numbers in their books. And you see here the direct parent of this organization. And then when I click on that, you see the exact same structure You see the legal name, the English translated name, the registration authority where it's registered, the legal form, and so on and so forth, headquarters and legal address. And if you would pick a larger corporation, let me give you an example that we're all familiar with, Nestle, the food manufacturer. Same thing, this is a Swiss organization, that's why it's registered in Switzerland, but when you go down there, then you see a large tree of children, which is a nested structure. So for instance, Nestle SA in Switzerland owns Nestle Brazil, and the Nestle Brazil owns a chocolate company that people might have not known that this company belongs to the Nestle Group. And with this short introduction to the LEI system, I would like to go back to my presentation. One issue, let's talk about digital now. One issue is that the LEI is just a number. It's a database key, if you like, but it's not a digital identifier. So that means it is not clear if someone presents an LEI to you, if the presenter is the owner of the LEI, if the LEI is really belonging to the right company, if the presenter is in any other form or shape affiliated with the LEI owner, and also the presenter must have a right to use it in certain use cases. And since this is in place, there are still a lot of checks necessary, often manually. For instance, if someone presents an LEI to somebody else, then people have to do the background check again, whether this is the right LEI and so on. You can compare this to other examples, right? Even if you have a biometrically supported driving license, you know, when the police stops you, they would compare what the information is on your driving license, your photo, for instance, with the real visual that you present to them. So these kind of checks are widely used everywhere. And the LEI is no different. And we would like to overcome this because there's a common problem with trust in this. And by trust, I mean, I would like to use the term trust in two fashions. One is trust into the system, trust into the governance structure, trust in the quality of services and data, but then also technically trust, which means a binding of the information in cryptographic means. We come to that in a second. I have been in the internet industry since the mid-90s, early 90s, actually. So I became familiar with cryptography and digital certificates and everything else very early in my career. I think I had my first certificate issued like 23 years ago. The digital certificate industry is a very matured industry. We have issuers around the world. We have use cases, like for instance, in the internet, that communication gets encrypted between the server and the browser and things like that. So it's a pretty common tool that has been used, but this tool also comes with a few question marks. Let me give you just a couple of question marks. Digital certificates are not unique. People can have multiple from multiple sources. The information is encoded in the digital certificate, which means it could be that you get two different certificates from two different organizations, even showing different information in there. Digital certificates come with a lifespan. In the internet, the lifespan is usually now down to 1 year. And the reason is that the underlying information might change. The company might change its name, the company might move to another location, or even cease to exist. And all of this is not reflected in the digital certificate because the content is cryptographically bound to the certificate and cannot be changed. And that leads to the question of revocation. And revocation has been an issue in many cases over the past years. It was not really ever resolved. I think the industry and the standard bodies came to the conclusion that a next generation of tools would be required. And all of this was also triggered through the blockchain discussion. And quite frankly, I learned about blockchain in 2015 already. I looked at it very intensively. But with the arrival of verifiable credentials, out of this discussion and self-sovereign identity, all of a sudden it makes sense for the LEI system to engage with this industry as well. For digital certificates, of course, you are very well aware of all of this in Hong Kong PKI Forum. Authentication is a very important use case for digital certificates. And all the assurances associated with that, that the signer is the right signer, has the authority, and so on and so forth, identity proof, all of that is part of digital certificates. Now, what we have done is we suggested to include the LEI as additional field in digital certificates. And I'm very happy that ISO just last year issued a standard, a rule book, if you like, on how to include the LEI in digital certificates. And in many countries, we see now the development that people are going to do this by using an extension for the LEI to show the legal entity identifier in the certificate, which would then link back to our database. And that is the beauty here, that you have an online API capability where you can actually browse through the data as in its latest version. We have put on our website a little an example on how to use this. We have our statement of comprehensive income, our annual report, if you like. That's a machine readable file with all the financial figures and everything else. And in order to prove that this report really comes from Glyph, I have signed this report with my digital certificate, and you see here the LEI is embedded. That's the LEI of Glyph. But it is more. We passed it on to our board. So the board has digitally signed this annual report stating that this is the approved annual report. Then we passed it on to EY, our audit firm, and they have digitally signed it to attest that this is the annual report that they've put their audit opinion about. That is what's already in place. Very excited about that. And please feel free if you have any questions there to come back to me on the level of certificates here. Now, the next question was how to solve the issue with a number of issues. For instance, we have the LEI. The LEI is assigned to an organization, but we have, for instance, representatives of this organization, like the CEO. And what you would like to understand is if this person that presents an LEI to you is really entitled to do so, has signatory rights and all of that. So what we need is what we call a hierarchy of trust, a trust chain, where we use verifiable credentials. In this case, we call it the verifiable LEI. So the LEI itself is the credential, not the reference data. The reference data goes into the public available databases. And Glyph would issue a credential to what we call the VLEI issuers. VLEI issuers could be our current partners from the LEI issuing network, but we also foresee a lot of other organizations tapping into this. And for instance, certificate authorities are ideal candidates for becoming VLEI issuers. Now, the VLEI issuers would then use the credentials from the LEI to issue credentials to the legal entities. And this would be pretty much in parallel to the issuance of an LEI. So a legal entity having an LEI could request a VLEI from the VLEI issuer. The legal entity then, on the other hand, can start issuing LEIs to persons. And I mentioned already the official representatives of organization. Those must be verified again by the VLEI issuer. They look into authoritative documents, mostly business registries, but also notary documents, in order to find out, if those rights can be granted. But the legal entity could also issue LEIs to employees, to customers, to suppliers, for all kinds of use cases. So the VLEI system really spans the entire ecosystem of the use of identity for legal entities. Important is that we want to establish Glyph as the root of trust, so that we have not just the duty of issuing the VLEI to issuers, but also a management role and the governance role in this whole system, which is very important. Now, the VLEI, as you can see here, combines three aspects. One is the organization itself, the legal entity. You have seen the examples I've shown you. Then you have the person, could be a representative, could be an employee, could be somebody else. And we have the role in which this person interacts with the rest of the world. It could be that I have a role of being CEO of Glyph, but in another organization, I could have the role of being a director and a board to another organization. And that would mean we need a combination of the legal entity associated with the person via a role. And again, I'm very happy to inform you that ISO, the International Standards Body, is currently working on a standard for roles in a certain context so that we can use this information in the future for easier identifying people's authorities. And the credentials bring this all together. So here is what I said before. VLEI credentials can be issued towards an official role. Those official role credentials can also be publicly discoverable. So that means we would put the information also on our website so that people can verify against the standard. That means we're going to publish on a more technical level. We're going to publish also the DID for those roles and for those organizations. And that is different to VLEIs that are issued in the context of engagement, meaning that the legal entity uses the LEI for other purposes. We have one example where a legal entity would like to use the VLEI for simply sign on to internal computer systems in order to make sure that authentication is the same around all applications. Those VLEIs would not be publicly discoverable for multiple reasons, and data privacy just among them is a very important one. You can see a few of the use cases that have been brought to our attention. Please be aware, we as Glyph, we want to implement this as an infrastructure for the world. This is not an application. We're not selling anything. We want to provide this as an infrastructure that people can use. And it's quite interesting to see how many people come now with ideas on how to exploit this for their own benefits in healthcare, in telecom, in supply chain. We see a very growing demand for this. And that's why we're fully engaged and fully committed to deliver this. In order to do that, we joined the Trust Over IP Foundation, and I understand that Drummond Reed was also giving a speech this morning. We're working together with Trust Over IP Foundation on a number of occasions. We have been there right from the beginning as contributing member. And what we're going to do as Glyph in 2021 is we're going to use the standards of the Trust Over IP Foundation, especially in the area of governance. We're not a software house. We're not so much interested in developing products or software layers and things like that. But what we're interested in are the governance framework, both for the credentials itself, for the VLEI, but as well as for the whole ecosystem. And governance is something that is very important to us. The good news here is that we have a very robust governance framework for the LEI system in place already. I mentioned that we're under authority or under oversight, let me put it this way, under oversight by public regulators, and that adds a lot of trust into the system. If Glyph would be a commercial entity trying to provide an entity legal entity identifier solution, that might fail or might not reach everyone. But in the current setup with our current governance framework, we believe that there is a chance to implement the LEI as a global framework for the benefit for all legal entities and also for regulators and lawmakers. How are we going to do this? We're going to create what we call a Glyph controller network. It's a network of networks, if you like, because we want to make the LEI agnostic to the use of any, of the particular systems. We have, on one hand, of course, the blockchain-based or SSI-based systems. To give you a couple of examples, we have on the Hyperledger Indy side, we have the Sovereign Network, for instance, which could be utilized for this. We have on the Ethereum side, other applications like Uport. We have the Elastra Quorum network. So there are a number of networks, and while they're all addressing the same thing, there are lots of nuances and differences among those networks. So what we want to do is we want to make the LEI available to all of these networks through a network of witnesses and call it APIs that would make this possible. But we won't stop there. The VLEI should also be usable in all types of other applications like cloud applications and other applications. So the usage of the VLEI is not restricted to blockchain, even though I admit this is an area where there is a high demand coming from at the moment. And with this, I'm at the end of my short presentation, and I would be happy to take any questions. I saw in the Q&A section, I saw already a question that raises the concern about, what about the LEI in developing countries? We understand that in the developed world, the LEI is already a given. I'm very happy to give you the following additional information. One of the issues with having LEIs in developing countries is the associated cost. The registrant, the owner of the LEI, have to pay a small fee, but we have noticed that whatever fee people ask for, it's always too high. And we're working together with a number of organizations who have a vital interest in having the LEI for their customers and suppliers and everything else, in order to encourage them to join the LEI issuance network, in order to give the LEI via the LEI issuers to their clients free of charge. And I'm very happy that we just a few weeks ago announced that JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the world, has joined us as becoming a validation agent and working together with the LEI issuing network. There are other candidates for doing the same thing, like telecoms. We have a pilot project in Africa right now, where we're going to use the LEI in such a context together with telecoms. And the idea there is to allow African companies to participate in global trade and global payment streams without the restrictions that usually come from all kinds of cross-border payment issues. The developing world here is very much interested in doing that. And the development world, in this case, this project in Africa is even sponsored by development aid, will help us to get the LEI to basically all legal entities over time. I can't promise you how long this is going to take. These projects usually take some time. So please watch us over the next years. I'm pretty sure you will see a lot of exciting new stuff coming.
I saw on your slide towards the end where you talk about LEI linking up with blockchain ecosystems, the use on cloud and so on. Just interested as to whether the Global LEI Foundation will actually be providing APIs to enable the community to connect in and consume the LEI information.
We are going to announce very shortly the technical way how we're going to do this. We're working together with the industry. We're going to work with standard bodies. And very importantly, we want to put everything under open source constraints so that people can really see what's going on. And please give us a few more weeks, and then we will inform the public on the technological aspects of this and how it's going to be implemented.
Now, for the next session, let me invite Professor Joshua Mok, Vice President and Lam Tsui Chair Professor of Comparative Policy of Lingnan University, to share with us the impact of digital identity on the society and education. Professor Mok.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, very warm welcome to this particular forum. And I'm thankful to IFA and Hong Kong PKI Forum for organizing a very important event. And I'm going to share with you how this technology being rolled out internationally would help Hong Kong aspiring to become a smart city. So my talk today, I would focus on the societal and educational impact of the DID in what way DID, the introduction of DID, would help Hong Kong for transforming into a smart city. My talk will this is my presentation outline. First of all, I would like to take this opportunity for sharing about the Lingnan University and how we try to adopt this new technology in creating a smart campus and preparing our students to become smart citizens. And the second part of my presentation focuses on the impact of introducing the decentralized identifier to the future development of the university from the educational dimension. Especially, I think the idea about decentralized identifier would help university to become very much a transformed university, putting the focus on smart governance, smart management, and also a smart citizen, prepare our students to become smart citizens. And I think the introduction of this decentralized identifier also have a significant impact socially. So I would like to talk about that and share with colleagues later on. So liberal arts universities Linglan's core mission. So among the 8 university, publicly funded university in Hong Kong, Lingnan University chose to be a small university because we focus on liberal arts education. Comparing to major liberal arts institutions globally, so our size is not that small because ranging from, in the US, ranging from a few hundred to a few thousand. So Lingnan University aspires to become a university focusing on nurturing, caring leaders for global future. So our education mission, basically, we truly believe in care for learning. When doing research, we very much hope that our research has impact with care. So when I was invited to give the talk for today, I think it's a great idea to work with the industry, government, and different organizations together for introducing new technology which impact the society and bringing a caring society through technology and innovation. And Lingnan University has a vision and mission. We excel as a leading Asian liberal arts university with international recognition distinguished by outstanding teaching, learning, scholarship, and community engagement. So we are very committed for providing education with whole person, development. And we believe strongly our students not only excels in a specialized knowledge, but we believe our students, our graduates, they are all-rounder excellence and in building them with our core values. The values is care, because our universal motto is education for service. We strongly encourage our faculty member and students to work together as teams for promoting change, especially positive change, through knowledge transfer and research, bringing betterment to the society at large. And I'm proudly share with you with the concerted efforts of a few generations of hard work, Lingnan is named as one of the top liberal arts universities in Asia. And most recently, last year, August 2020, QS also recognized Lingnan as a top QS 5-star institutions in teaching, employability, research, internationalization, facilities, arts and culture, and inclusiveness. And in the same year, last year, according to the Times Higher Education World University ranking, Lingnan University is rated globally second in the world. We are ranked second in the world in quality education. We are very proud of having this achievement, but we are not complacent because we believe education is to bring our future and hope for our younger generation. And when doing research and knowledge transfer, Lingnan University has a value. The core to the value is research with impact and impact with care. So our tagline is impact with care. We want to develop this Lingnan spirit for helping the society at large to benefit from our research and technology in informing changes, positive change brought by research and our KT. Say, for example, we work with the industries and technology sector for promoting general technology. You know, aging population is one of the major issues confronting not only in Hong Kong, but also across different parts of the world. In Asia, in particular, aging population is on the rise. In what way we can make use of the appropriate technology, namely general technology, in promoting happiness among the older people becomes major issue confronting Asian societies, including Hong Kong. So we are lucky to get a project funded by Hong Kong Jockey Club in introducing general technology to promote smart aging. And this project also serves as a very important educational platform, providing training courses and workshops on general technology in the area about healthcare, dining, living, and transport to promote care to the society, particularly helping our older people living in place. This is also the government policy to enable our elder people to living in place and through technology and make their life much easier. We reach out to different organizations. This is one of the examples that we work across the industry and the business sector for co-promoting collaboration to make sure our research, our KT reach out to the local community for promoting social innovation. And we proudly work with the Hong Kong team, signing an agreement, not only an agreement, a piece of paper, but working together for co-promoting general technology, supporting the smart aging and social entrepreneurship development in Hong Kong. As Hong Kong government has rolled out the plan, a blueprint for smart city, I think as a university in Hong Kong, we have to ask ourselves in what way we prepare our students to become smart citizens, supporting the development of smart city. So we aim at transforming the university as a smart campus. It's one of the strategic plans in our current development of Lingnan, because we truly believe our younger generation, they are facing the challenges for making themselves, competitive in a smart city. And in what way a university would create a platform, an environment which is conducive enough for preparing them to become smart citizens. So the notion about DID is a great opportunity for universities to work with the technology sector, government, and the business sector together to make use of this new technology for transforming university. So we are living in a world of technology. Innovation and technology is core to the future development of Hong Kong and also the Bay Area. So as a university in Hong Kong, I think we also take note of this new development. Innovation and digital transformation has become one of the major drive for Lingnan University. But we have to ask ourselves a list of questions here. How would we do more with less input? And in what way technology know-how and technology could be well transferred and transplanted in our daily life? In university, I think by introducing technology is one thing, but in what way we can make use of the technology for enhancing management, governance, education, and also knowledge transfer will become the core business of university. So I echo the previous speaker talking about the importance about digital transformation, not only for society, but also for my case, a university. We are facing unprecedented global crisis today, and everyone would agree we are facing COVID-19 pandemic, and the whole world is shocked by the widespread and the speed of this widespread of COVID-19. So universities across different parts of the world, including Hong Kong, in the last couple of months and years, were suddenly forced for emergent online learning. So online learning is becoming more popular, but online learning has its own limitations. But this COVID-19 pandemic also has brought us to think about the future by how we can better use of the technology to enhance student learning through intelligent learning, I-learning, to customize our teaching and learning activity supporting students' learning needs. As a global city like Hong Kong, we welcome diversity. And in what way we can embrace diversity and entertain students' diverse learning needs. I think appropriate adoption of I-learning, appropriate adoption and transformation through the digital world for education will become something very interesting for us to contemplate and also turn into reality. So now I would like to share with you some of the ideas that the Lingnan University has begun to think about how to make use of the new technology we are talking today, the DID, into the governance, management, and teaching activities. So I think the university have aims and goals to improve our governance, administration, and management by introducing about the trust over IP. But one question being raised by administrators in universities about trust over IP is important. But in what way this new DID could be really translated into the daily administration without the anxiety that people are very concerned is about the privacy. The introduction of DID core to the business is about trust over IP. I think this is a very important idea that university has to communicate effectively, not only among universities, but also working with the business and wider sector in the society to understand the whole spirit of trust over IP. Whenever a new technology being rolled out, citizens in today's world are very concerned about whether the new DID would also interfere or infringe their privacy. So I think the core business of university working with the technology is not only pick up knowledge know-how, most importantly is to translate the language easy to understand. That means different stakeholders, when using the DID, they would know that there's a super safe in terms of the protection of the privacy. Because without this understanding, no matter how good the technology is, would mean that people may have a resistance, reluctant in taking up the new technology. So in university, I think this is important to engage not only the university administrator, but also different stakeholders across the society to understand about how to make use of this decentralized ID system. And this is protected by international standard, but more importantly, this is not controlled by any government, but is very much determined by individuals. The core idea about this individual choice would be, say, for example, if I were a student, I just work with the registry in the university by getting the DID, and with this decentralized certified identity, the individual can make use of this DID to share with the prospective employers. And then the employer knows that this DID has already certified by university with individual and independent third-party assurance such as certification. This is true. They cannot be changed. This is unreversible. Then with this understanding, people may make use of this particular ID in a more safe and comfortable way. And with this smart technology, we hope that our students can become a much smarter citizen in future because individuals, they can control over their ID through certified system. And by introducing the blockchain-based university student identity, we certainly change the lifestyle and life cycle management in the university. Without this system, we still adhere to the very traditional form of management of students, would raise a lot of issues. But the advantage of having the data owner has a complete sovereignty of their digital identity and personal data, I think it would appeal particularly to the younger generation because they very much face about the issue about trust in the government, trust in the public organization. And with the introduction of this SSI and also DID, and students can share the minimum amount of information to others while ensuring data integrity and trust. So these are the two very important points. Individual, they have the complete sovereignty, number one. Number two, this is very transparent because trust and data protection is top of the idea when decentralized ID be introduced to university. And with this development, individual will be well protected, and the blockchain-based university student identity will offer different learning experience and life cycle management in universities. And there are a lot of different, advantages. But as a university, we very much hope to develop this immutable distributed ledger that stores digital asset and record down every online transaction in terms of blocks. And the benefit would be the change and distributed mechanism of blockchain makes previously approved transaction irreversible. This is a key word. The both parties, they agree making use of this system, they bring the benefit about, the agreement. And to sum up, the introduction of this DID through the blockchain system will bring about the good thing for university management and student benefit because this is a more transparent and this is controlled by individuals and without government involvement. And this system also benefit about sovereignty, as I mentioned. I won't go into the details again. And how we work together for developing a smart city and also promoting smart living. I think the social dimension, trust over internet, is one of the core issues that this forum is about. And the trust over the internet can overcome the traditional EID problems. Some of the problems that we are now facing is about usability, privacy issue, security issue, and people need to learn, just like us. If we use the EID every time, we have to remember the login password. With so many different things happening, someone may forget temporarily about the password would cause the trouble about using the conventional type of EID. But the idea about the DID would help us to resolve the problem that now we are facing. So the digital learning really would enable us to trust over the IP. For Ningnan University, we plan to make use of this new technology by transforming the way that we issue our transcript, the way we are dealing with the student ID, we are sharing about student performance, their degree certificate through a new system. And we also think that this new system can help a lot for individual because when student they can get into this new system, they know about their rights, but also their responsibility, and then they are given the autonomy to decide how to make use of this digital system by developing themselves through the digital wallet. Then without giving unnecessary personal data to the other third party, the DID user will verify our students' claim with a simple green tick on the verification page to the requester. So I think the system is very simple and straightforward, but the issue will be sovereignty on individual, but with the protection internationally. But this kind of knowledge could not be only housed within the university. In order to support the new technology be commonly adopted and trusted, we need the university to do more, working with the wider society for raising the public awareness through education. So in future, we are very committed to work together with the university sector and also the wider community by co-promoting this knowledge to help our individuals like the business, like the public sector, like other sector working together, and also moving beyond Hong Kong, working into the Greater Bay Area for promoting this new system for assuring, transferability. And we also work closely with the industry, and there's a lot of good opportunity to carry out innovation through university and industry collaboration. So I would like to thank IFA today for organizing this particular conference. It's very meaningful to bring, technology, industry, and government together, and also inviting university to work together and co-promoting the knowledge. The knowledge and understanding is fundamental. Without understanding about this new technology and its impact, and also the advantage, and society would not welcome that. So the social dimension really require university working with the government by promoting good practices. I think the policy advocacy is core to Ningnan University's mission. Ningnan University will develop more strategic public policy grant, public policy research, engaging the industry, the technology sector, and government to work together, find ways to co-promote this new technology for transforming Hong Kong into a smart city. And making good use of the experience with the university would be very important because the blockchain is a new thing, but how to translate the blockchain-based system in managing university, in managing future development would require our concerted efforts. And to explore more opportunity to develop Hong Kong to become a smart city, I think smart living, smart aging is something core to us. So I want to end my presentation by congratulating and thanking IFA again. The trust over IP is so important for positioning Hong Kong, not only in the Bay Area, but in Asia as a smart city. And smart city, smart governance, smart living, and smart citizens, the 4S, requires people to work together on this trust over IP. So Ningnan University is committed to work with the different stakeholders together because we truly believe Hong Kong deserves a better, development. So we support Hong Kong government's blueprint for smart city development, but how to translate our work to co-supporting the future development of Hong Kong, I think this is our dream. I want to end by saying CCPC. With the system put in place, if we work together to support the trust over IP system through the introduction of DID and future devices that offer people to have a sovereignty, but with international recognition and support, we can certify the caring professionals with international connectivity. So Hong Kong being a global city, what makes Hong Kong different from major cities in the region is international connectivity. But to raise Hong Kong's profile internationally in the region and globally, we need more caring professionals, but they are certified internationally. So university has a role to play during this process and journey. We humbly, as Ningnan University, humbly to work together with different stakeholders, including IFA and your team, to produce and co-produce more CCPC, Certified Caring Professional with international connectivity. I want to end by calling upon every one of us, online and on-site, dream and work together for building a socially caring and creatively smart Hong Kong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mok. We have actually some questions on the system, so let me just read it up to you. The first one is, you mentioned Lingnan University being focused in the area of liberal arts. So as a distinguished liberal arts university in Asia, how do you think the university or higher educational institution can promote and adopt these new digital identities and sort of technologies like GeoIP?
Okay, thank you. I think, as I mentioned in my talk, I think the introduction of new technology is always welcomed by university. University being the forefront of knowledge construction, always welcome new technology innovation. But to be more specific about the trust over IP is something very new to every one of us here. But by the introduction of DID will certainly transform the university governance, teaching and learning, and also promoting through the university to the community at large by helping our individuals in the community not only about knowing about the technology, but knowing about the benefit of the technology, and they can easily translate the technology into their daily life and affecting the betterment of the society.
The second question is on something that you mentioned about trust. Let me read that. The trust deficit. CHK recent social research show that people simply don't believe in government. So do you think these new technologies, distributed identities, can actually help to solve the problem?
Well, as far as I understand, the new technology being put forth for us for consideration is very much given the sovereignty to individuals to choose what sort of DID they are using, and if they subscribe to the DID, they can with their autonomy, they make use of DID for sharing with the prospective employers or different stakeholders at large. And then this DID is certified not by any government but international body. They are international and independent, recognizer and certifier. With that, I think Hong Kong people, particularly young people, would be at ease by using this DID, decentralized ID, because they have the sovereignty over the choice of use, and at the same time, and with the international assurance through certification, they may be able to communicate better. I hope it would be helping about the deficit, trust deficit that you just raised.
Okay, so the final question that we have here from the audience: what strategy in the Lingnan University that you think would help to make staff and students accept these technologies?
I think explanation and communication is very important. Whenever there's new things happening or introduced, it requires a lot of communication. I think effective communication is core for any new introduction of policy or new technology. But without experiencing about the new technology would mean this is difficult to make people, acceptive about the new technology. I think we humbly work with different sectors and working together to introduce appropriate changes to university, including this DID gradually, but with very clear explanation, communication, and also practices and experience sharing would enable people to be more receptive about the change.
Thank you very much, Professor Mok.
Okay,
thank you.
Yeah.
And welcome back again. So on to our last session. We have a workshop, and let's welcome Professor Loh Yuk Lam, President of Hong Kong Biomed Innotech Association, to actually share with us how digital credentials work within the biotech area. Professor Loh, please.
I'd like to give a little brief idea. Testing report and vaccine record are the key pieces of information to solve the current epidemic situation. We need to consider two aspects. Number one, how to ensure the credibility of the testing report and vaccine record so that this record can be internationally recognized. Second, how to ensure the safety and reliability of the information, the storage, and the content of the record, including authenticity and privacy protection of the personal identity, and other information involved. Therefore, what we need is not only the health certificate tool, but the framework for trust. To ensure the credibility of the testing report and resting record is necessary to address the other issue beyond just considering the safety of the tool, such as the credential of the laboratory that issued the report and the qualification of the chemist and the MT as well too. And whether its relevant qualification are ensured by the appropriate authority. In fact, we need to establish a trust inherent mechanisms, an extendable long-term mechanism that can be deployed on the global scale, so that the citizen of any country, any territory can refer to it and make use of it. And such, we need to leverage existing global standard and mechanism so that this infrastructure can be quickly established and put it into service. To this end, we will use the legal entity identifier called LEI for the identification of laboratory with relevant qualification and trust over IP as a mechanism for exchanging and verifying testing report and vaccine records. The legal entity identifier is a digital identification mechanism promoted by the G20. The financial stability and many regulatory agents around the world is the coding system based on ISO 17442, standard formulated by International Standard Organization. The Trust over IP project is an international cross-industry alliance that aims to promote the construction of digital trust standard and facilitate the exchange and verification of the data with the confidence through the internet. The Trust over IP Foundation brings together the government, non-profit organization, and private sector. The stakeholders are including the financial, healthcare, entrepreneur software, and other sector to enhance universal security and private protocol for consumer and business in digital era. We will introduce the detail at the demo later on how standardized the digital trust infrastructure is applying to the issue, storage, and sharing of testing report and resting record, so that we can cover from current epidemic situation. Thank you very much.
I believe we have a quick demo on how the whole mechanism works.
Okay, thank you everyone. A lot of the speaker has talked about maybe how to use the blockchain or many new technology. So today's the workshop is show how easy and save time and efficiency on use the new technology. Okay, just a very simple workshop. I want to show you to you all. Okay, we will showing the use case of how to issue the information to the holder. For example, Professor Mock just talked about the transcript, how to issue to the holder. Let's say I'm a student. How can I receive the transcript? Okay. Nowadays, I will receive the transcript maybe from by the hard copy or photocopy, anything else, but maybe transforming to using the technology. We are using the e-transcript. Okay. So we will showing the demo for how to receive the e-transcript. And for the COVID-19 testing, is a most important thing in this world. Okay, this very a lot of people is afraid of that. Yeah, for me too. Okay, but today's sample is also want to show you how to be doing the test and get the result very quickly in short time and very efficient and share the information to the others. Okay, this is the demo the workshop want to show you. And the use case is I want to pretend a student. I received a student. I have need to study in Germany, so I want to travel and then I need to provide my information to prove that I'm good in health and I'm a student, then I can travel to Germany to study, okay? So, first of all, you can see in the screen, there's a local university. They will issue a hard copy of the transcript to us, to the student, but we can transform the data to the blockchain. And then the student will receive the data from the blockchain. But how can we do? Maybe you can think that, oh, is this by the Excel or something data? So now it shows you how easy we can see the data, okay?
Hello, I'm Eva Chen. I'm just trying to, help in the demonstrations a bit. Alan is a technical guy, and Adam here is also a technical guy. And then the live productions we are showing now is UAT production. As you can see that the transcript that we are trying to get right now is a demo transcript. Lingnan University is authorizing us to help them to use the Trust Over IP platform to issue their credentials in the coming year. This is Professor Moore, they just authorize us to do that. So the demo that you see, the transcript now is a demo. That's why we are not putting them in the production. So what you are seeing now is a production site. So the QR code that Alan was showing is actually the Lingnan University QR code. So imagine that in your hospital or in your test lab or in the vaccinations factories, all you need to do is somebody who have used your services and they are your customer. Okay, earlier on, we have Alphaseed, the Secretary of Technology, IT, have explaining that, Hong Kong is launching the I Am Smart. Okay, in the December 29, they have launched the EID. We work very well with the EID together with your factory products, because for example, if I'm doing a test lab, I use my identification number, my ID number. So if I use my EID and it's proof that it's me, so you can give me my test report, right? So it's directly secure and safe to pass the report to me without leaking any privacy information. So that's why Trust Over IP have got international standard and allow PDRP, which is a EU standard in privacy ordinance. Okay, that's important. Okay, so we are very confident that we can pass the Europe or EU standard on privacy. We can get the Hong Kong, Privacy Commissioner to allow us to use the standard and accept in Hong Kong. And this is why we have all the secretary from the government to support us to launch our Trust Over IP standards in Hong Kong. So what I'm saying is, there's another layers of why we have to show the QR code. So the customers, they come in and they just like a WeChat or WhatsApp, you can have your scanner, okay, and scan. With the scanner, you install I Am Smart, right? And on the other side, it's actually a door to your customer. You can easily authenticate that they are your customers, okay? When the door is open, if you fully authenticate that he is he or she is she, and then you allow them to go in and then to check, do they have a record? Okay, so in a minute, I'm going to show you the record. Normally, it's a record in paper. Okay, but it's now today's world, everything are talking about electronic. So how we translate that over the Trust Over IP into a record, which with all the international standard, ISO standard and all that imply, and how we do it together. And the most wonderful thing about it is, it's not just, a student, they have to get, this morning we're talking about with IATA, which is a, travel pass we're talking about, how we apply that. The travel pass from ITEC was saying that, especially now if you want to travel from Hong Kong to any part of the world, you have to get a 14 days hotel, okay, quarantine. So how you can prove to the customs that you have already got the hotel, how, if you want to get a permit to go in, have you got, for example, if I'm a student, how I improve, I come to your country or your territory and I'm a student, and how I can show I have already done the test, okay, of the COVID-19 test, or how or have I already taken the vaccine. So all this mass and rich information can be shown all in your mobile phone. And all the information you are getting, you don't have to go to the door. You just have to use the QR code, which my colleague is trying to show you. That's actually the entry, okay, the entry door. The entry door is so secure with the launch of the Hong Kong IM Smart. So that's why, hopefully, Hong Kong will become the center, okay, to launch this international standard. That's important because we already have the IM Smart. Because nobody will allow somebody who is not he or she to get somebody else's record. Okay, so with the match of the Hong Kong IM Smart, I'm so confident that Hong Kong will become an example in the world. In this COVID pandemic, we can solve and we can take people safely get onto the air flight. Because with all this information, this is trusted and proven, okay, with international standard and have the EU support. Okay, so this is what we are showing. So all this demo that we can show some of the field and then how it can merge and mix together. Okay, let Ellen to do that.
Oh, thank you, Eva.
Thank you.
Very good speech. Thank you. She's helping me. Thank you. Okay, let's continue to the demo, okay? Okay. For the COVID-19, I'm doing the test from the test lab. You can see this is maybe the real report. Okay, the report is showing my testing result is negative, okay, but I need to show or share to the company or which request me to, but I need to show the, yeah. But I need to show my testing result to the company who requests me to provide the proven which I have tested the COVID-19 is negative, okay? So, the test lab issue me a hard copy and they are trying to put the data in the blockchain and then issue to the tester. Yeah, but the report is just a sample only.
Great. This is the technical part. Let me translate that, why you have to come here today and what you will bring with you, what we can pick up. Is when you are doing this test report, okay, all you have to do is we will allow you to get into the Trust over IP platform. You are going to put the data, which is proven with international standard, and just go into the blockchain platform, which is called Trust over IP, so that the patients or the people who have taken your medicines, they have a record, and you over the Trust over IP, they just come into your office, the QR code, and collect this report. Okay? Instead of giving you a piece of paper, we're giving you the actual data, which is proven is true. Okay, so this is the important part. For your company or for your laboratory, okay, we still have another level we have to ensure that. Because only those are under the Hong Kong governance ordinance, only the white list. Okay, we will be checking that because we'll be checking because I have another head, I'm trying to say, it's of Hong Kong Post. We are actually the Hong Kong Post Certificate Authority. And what we are doing is we have to check, and that's also what we are talking about the LEI earlier on. And we have to check worldwide legal electronic identity. Is that in Hong Kong, firstly, is the Food and Health Bureau, okay? You have a list saying that this is the whitelist people, okay? And then under the Medical Laboratory Part 1, who signed that, okay? We, Hong Kong Post Certificate Authority, the operator, have to go and see that person yearly and to grant them a digital certificate. Then we allow them to go into the blockchain. We have a title, it's called ourselves the steward, okay? Steward, okay, only the steward allow, the credentials to be issued. Because it's such a, important status, we have to ensure whoever issue the credentials have the qualifications, have the standard to guarantee that. So that's the first step, and also the whitelist, guaranteeing that. And then using our technology, when they are issuing on that one, we will check online. We have another function which is very technical, it's called OCSP. We will definitely check that it's the laboratory and it's that person. When they are issuing the digital cert at that moment or issuing this credential at that moment, are they legally allowing to do that? For example, if something happened, unfortunately, happened to that lab or happened to that person, they have been seized the authority to issue cert. And then our OCSP function will act immediately. Of course, this is under the law of Hong Kong. We will get a government notification. And then we just like a telephone line, we just unplug it. So that person is no longer allowed, or that lab is no longer allowed to issue credential. So you see, we are also a gatekeeper for the whole thing. So it's not just the technology. Today, we are bringing not only the technology, but also bringing down how, you know, everybody can come in and be parts of the game or be parts of the trust over the internet. Okay, so this is how the internet works. Because just now, I'm using a piece of paper, and then when you're getting it, I was just listening to Albert was saying earlier, some of the government already find that is a fainted, report by handwritten. Exactly, our digital signing is handwritten signature is equivalent to digital signature. So this is how we guarantee, the security, okay, and the trust, and with legal binding. And it's a layer and layer. I won't take too much long on explaining this, but that's all on the technical part. But in your laboratory, it's nothing special that you have to, it's not a lot of equipment you have to buy. Things just normal. All you need to do is just join our chain. And we'll put things into there, and then we will verify. The most important thing, if the lab is a whitelist, we will accept your applicant. Okay, if you're not, of course, we won't do it. Okay, and then we'll check everything and put things on. Okay, and then all this is done by 121 Hong Kong Post Office. Okay, it's not, you don't have to go to a private company or doing anything. It's all in the Hong Kong Post Office, okay, to support this initiative. So this is how we work together with Hong Kong Innovation Fund, Innovation and Technology Commissioner is supporting us this program, okay, is to educate and is to bring this knowledge transfer to the public to know how wonderful technology can bring us, okay? So this is important, for the people in Hong Kong and also globally, not only just locally, but also globally, that we can enjoy this technology, okay? Nothing special, but well, the next thing is, very important is your QR code that we show you. You only will grant the QR code. It's a legal server. Everybody have a server ID or a domain name. We will go and check if your company owns this domain name and all the relationship yearly and grant you that QR code. So we will be using SSL, okay? So the people using the mobile phone, okay? And then they have their ID, and then we have a trust connection in between. So when the connection is connected, okay? And then as a citizen, I definitely would like to know that you are on the list and how I can use this. I won't, because it's my passport and my ID card number and all my secret information. I would not like to go into a faint site, okay? A site that which is a fainted site. So this, if we give that QR code, it's guaranteeing that it's not a faint site, okay? Because on the other hand, in our I'm smart, we will not, okay, let our ID use if the other site is not secure. It's what we call SSL. And that's how we can guarantee, well, how I can put it into it is we are in a definitely secure closed loop. It's a closed loop. Any site is not secure, it won't be connected. So this is a critical part, okay? So I'm glad that Hong Kong government is giving us a lot of support in doing that because we have a very good infrastructure. So that's why Hong Kong PKI Forum is talking about public key infrastructure. We're talking about private key, public key, which is all about secret. Okay, keys is a very important term. So only those people who have a legal identity personally, and those people who provide the credentials have a legal commercial identity, then it works. Okay. Plus, the most important thing is if you have you hold an ID number, and if the ID number is correct, then you will get the credential. So it's a definitely guaranteed. So I think the technology is simple, neat and tidy that you can use. All you have to do is just apply it and become a issuer. Okay, and then your consumer. And that's one more thing is very, very attractive to me. It's a free wallet. Okay, everybody here can download. It's called Connect.me. You can download here. We can try that as well. Okay, it's an international wallet. Okay, it's a wallet that once you install, okay, you can scan. It's free of charge. Okay, but it's secure. This is, for example, Connect.me, the founder. They are also the Trust Over IP Steering Committee chairman, running this. And then we have transit, we have every country in the States, in Europe. A lot of people is providing that is called Credential Wallet. Okay, the wallet means a lot of people will be issuing credentials, so will be holding in a secure wallet. And what we are talking about, this wallet is also get the international standard. Okay, in Hong Kong at the present moment, we are relying on the, Avalon, and the engineer is here actually. Okay, are we connected with the engineer?
Yes.
Well, let them speak a few words. I think it's more professional than what I'm saying because I'm not a technical guy. Let them explain what is Iata. Hi.
Hello. Hi. Good morning from London. Great. Well, it's hard to know what to add to that fantastic overview. There were lots of really, really great details shared there. I think I would really first of all just emphasize the point that Eva made, which is that Connect.me is a free wallet that is available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, and anyone who wants to use it for a decentralized identity project based on trust over IP principles can download that wallet for free and obtain either open source Hyperledger Aries software or software from Evanim and other partners to be able to issue credentials into that wallet. And if anyone would like to try a live demonstration for themselves, then Evanim has a small, very basic demo website called try.connect.me, which you can navigate to either on your mobile browser or on your laptop, and then scan a QR code, a lot like you saw in this demo. And it's not exactly the same scenario that you just went through, but you'll be able to get a sense of what it feels like for real users to establish these secure connections, receive credentials, and then prove them in real life. And it looks just as easy as the really impressive demo that you just saw.
Let's go back to the mobile demo, okay? Because we are talking about the COVID-19 report, how to issue to my wallet. Let me show it again. Okay, everyone can see the mobile screen right now, right? On the right-hand side. Yeah, because the time is going so fast, so we are connected to the CMA testing lab already. Okay, the testing lab is issued to me COVID-19 report. We can see that all of the details from the report, okay, is issued to me. Then when I accept the credential, that the report will go to my wallet, okay? You can see there is a loading icons on the bottom. Yeah, because the credential is issuing to me. So I can go to the credential and review my report, okay? You can see the information only can see by myself. Yeah, okay. So for now, I received the transcript detail from the university and the detailed report from the testing lab, okay? How I use these two information to prove that I'm a student and my health is good and negative of COVID-19, then I can travel to Germany to study. Okay, let me continue the demo. Okay, this maybe the critical path that I show you. Oh, I need to travel and then I need to prove myself. Okay, let's continue. Because maybe I call that this my e-health pass. I need to prove myself. Maybe some of the country, some of the territory, maybe is the limitation or restriction for the travel. Okay, but because when I need to buy the ticket, I need to prove to the airline company that I'm a student and I have a good health and I tested with the COVID-19 result with negative so that I can travel and the airline company can issue the ticket to me. Okay. Let's see. The airline is sending the COVID-19 report and student proof request from me, but I have a lot of information that is related to my privacy. I don't want to disclose a lot of the details to the airlines, but what can I do? Okay, I don't want to disclose all of them. Okay, such as all the Hong Kong ID information, of the detailed information, but of the information already put on the change, and the university and the lab is issued to me, and they are verified that this is the truth of the data. So I just share some of the verified information. This is the interesting part. Share some information only to the airline that proved to me I have the negative results and I am the student. Okay, let's see the demo. Okay. First of all, we need to connect to the airline company first. So we need to receive a QR code from the airline company, and then we scan the QR code. Okay, make a connection with the airlines, and then we will make the connection. Okay, here is the demo. We're using the Connect.me apps and scan the QR code from the airlines company, then click connect, then we are connected with the airlines. Okay. You can see, go inside the airlines, we are connected. Okay, from now on, the airline is request me to provide some proof. Okay, so you can see that, just a moment, we are showing how to the airlines is request me to provide some data. Okay, you can see, go inside. Yes, you can see that there's a limited of data information which is issued by the testing lab and from the university that show in the field. On the right hand side, that is the logo showing that is the verified information, okay, in my credential. So I can select the data from the lab and the university and then share the attributes to the airlines. So you can see that just click a button, then the information is shared. No need to wait the report, saving time and very efficient. Then we can get the report and share to the airlines company. Then the airlines company is knowing that, oh, I'm getting the negative results and I'm a student, prove that I'm a student and I need to buy a ticket. So they will issue me a ticket immediately, maybe shortly, okay? This is the demo to tell you all this, very efficient and save the time. Oh, this is very good. Very magical, okay? Okay, the demo is here. James, could you share your more about the FLM or the real case of the will to everyone?
That'll be my pleasure. Thank you very much. I'll just share some slides here. There. Are you able to see my slides now? Excellent.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So yes, I'm very honored to be able to share just a few more examples of real-world use cases, just like the one that you all saw there. I know that we've talked a lot about the needs of the travel industry, and what I want to do just for a moment is put the technology in context. The reason we're all so excited by the potential that this technology has is not just because we've been solving really hard cryptography and trust problems for the last several years, but because, as you see from this graph, the forecasted growth in international air travel for last year and this year was incredibly high, and volumes are now down by over 60%, which across the industry represents hundreds of billions of dollars of lost revenue. And this is causing massive impacts for business. It's also preventing families seeing each other from countries from trading and so forth. And so it is one of the most important use cases that we could solve for. But it's also, but it's also very complicated because, as you've just heard my fellow speakers describe, the issues of trust and security and privacy are incredibly important when you're talking about someone's identity document, like a passport, and someone's health information. This is not information that we can safely just put in a database somewhere and allow lots of private companies and governments around the world to connect to. And so it requires a solution based on trust over IP, like the kind that you've just been hearing about. And so Evening is working with Iata and a number of airline partners on an industry-wide solution to help their members get back to flying. And the idea behind this user experience is that a passenger can scan their passport at home using a mobile app. It's called the Iata Contactless Travel App. It reads the NFC chip information of the passport and then scans the photo page. And then the passenger takes a selfie, and Iata systems verify that the passport is authentic and that the person using the app matches the photo. And at that point, they issue a verifiable credential containing the important details from the passport down into the secure wallet. Now, the Contactless Travel App is based on the same standards and the same code base as the Connect.me app that you just saw in that demo. But what Iata have done is, instead of using a general purpose digital wallet like Connect.me, they've built an app which is very specific to the air passenger journey. And that allows them to optimize the user experience. And so by digitizing the passport at home, the passenger doesn't have to spend any additional time in the airport, and they don't have to hand over their document to another person where there's a risk of contamination. The next step in the journey is to get a COVID test before travel. We've talked a lot about that today, and I know that Drummond described some of that process as well earlier on in the session. Much like the passport, the goal here is to have this happen before the passenger goes to the airport. They will go to an approved site for their sample to be collected. And when the result is sent to them, in addition to a text message or some other unverified notification, they also receive a digital credential into the same Iata Contactless Travel App. And so now the passenger has both their travel document and their COVID-19 test. And so when they check in for their flight, they're able to securely share the attributes from both of these credentials with the airline that lets them then issue boarding pass and tell them that they can come to the airport. This minimizes the time the passenger spends in the airport, and it makes sure that people who are not eligible to travel do not show up. But of course, the powerful thing about that is once the user has these credentials, they can also share not just with the airline, but with the airport authorities, with the border authorities, both in their country of departure and their country of arrival. And in future, when we're not just dealing with COVID tests, but we have various vaccines rolled out at scale, you can replace the COVID test credential with a vaccine credential, and the same system will work. And the reason this solution requires decentralized identity and requires trust over IP is because it is so large and complicated. Any one country or any one airline could easily solve this problem with a database. But when you look at air travel globally, it is hundreds of airlines, tens of thousands of airports, hundreds of passport authorities, and many thousands of different testing laboratories. And there is no way to build one system that could solve that complexity with the right level of trust that everybody integrates with. And so this is exactly where the trust over IP stack, which allows for a flexible technical solution, but also the governance to allow you to trust the issuers of those credentials, is uniquely well suited. This is because it scales both to billions of passenger journeys every year without having to build one expensive system in the middle. It's open and standards-based, so not every participant in this ecosystem needs to sign a contract with one company who has all that power. But it has the security and the privacy features that the team was just describing to you in their demo. That means that you're not sharing any more information than you have to, but the information that you do share is really reliable and really trustworthy. And so this is a high-level view of what that flow looks like. And we're very pleased to announce that there will be a live pilot of this technology with two major airlines, one in Europe and one in Asia, starting in just a few weeks, about 4 weeks from now. And the intention is, assuming those pilots are successful, there will be another 15 or so airlines that will conduct a trial in the first quarter of this year. And so the demos that you've seen and the technology that we've talked about, the reason I'm spending even more time on this use case is because it will probably be one of the first real world examples where you in the audience can see and touch and actually use trust over IP technology in your daily lives. And we're very excited about that. I'm just going to do the last two examples and then we can, maybe if I mute, it'll be easier to do the questions. The next example is similar in that it's a large and complicated environment. The NHS, which is the National Health Service here in the United Kingdom, is the largest employer in the country. It has over 1 million staff and over 1,000 locations where those staff work. And because many of these staff are healthcare professionals, they are regulated, they have professional qualifications, academic qualifications, and workplace training, which is relevant to their ability to do their job. But in this environment, they need to be redeployed from site to site, and we need to be able to do this with very high trust and very high confidence. And so while they're not getting on a plane to do that necessarily, a lot of the underlying requirements are very similar to the contactless travel use case that we were just describing. And so this is a system, again, that has been built using the trust over IP stack and verifiable credentials, where doctors in the UK, if they need to do a job or be redeployed to another hospital, they can receive a credential containing their human resources record in the Connect.me app, and then they can go to the next hospital, scan a QR code, and share that record securely with the new hospital. This used to take over 24 hours, and they used to have to bring pieces of paper, their passport, their degree certificate, their HR record with them, and it had to be manually checked. Now this process is digitized, and that doctor can go straight to helping patients in a matter of minutes after arriving. So this will save the National Health Service a lot of money, and hopefully will also save lives. And that's live today in over 30 hospitals in the UK. And the final example, just to give you an idea of something that doesn't have to be quite as complicated as doctors or air travel, is actually one of Evonym's first ever production deployments, which is for contactless authentication in the credit union industry in the United States. And so our partner, CU Ledger, has been working with a number of credit unions that together represent over 130 million individuals who need to be able to prove that they are the real account holder when they walk into a credit union branch, when they use their phone to speak to someone at customer service, or when they log in online. And traditionally, the way to do this is usernames, passwords, and knowledge-based authentication, where you ask someone 20 questions about their lives. That is slow and expensive, and in a COVID environment, in a branch, no one from the credit union wants to handle your identity documents in order to verify who you are. And so CU Ledger have developed a solution called MemberPass, where the credit union member receives a digital credential on their phone containing proof of their identity. And when they call up to speak to the credit union or when they walk into the branch, they're able to securely share proof of who they are with one click in the MemberPass app, which uses the trust over IP stack under the hood. And then the credit union is able to trust that individual without having to ask all those questions. And so that again is a real world use case, which is live in 8 credit unions in the United States, with a further dozen who are in the process of being onboarded this year. And so that's one where if you're in the United States, you'd be able to see that for real. But as I said, for most people in the audience, I think the simplest way to get your hands on this technology is you can go to try.connect.me on your computer. You can download the Connect.me app and you can go through the basic demo that we have there. Otherwise, you're welcome to speak to myself or any of my colleagues, and we'd be delighted to talk to you about it. Thank you so much for letting me share just a few examples of how this is working in the real world.
So
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, the team, and thank you, James.
Thank you.
It's just wonderful, to see technology in action. And I think, as we come to the end of this today's seminar, we have learned more about digital identity, distributed identity. We have, an understanding of how the world is coming together to actually put these technology components into practical use. We are in a very unusual situation right now, and I needed this technology and everybody to come together. And if you want to summarize everything, I would say PKI reimagined, to build trust in society that will actually enable us to recover from this pandemic. And not only that, the technology components can enable us to apply in other scenarios, in banking and in other aspects of our daily life. We have seen, university transcripts, certificates, and I'm sure, the notion of digital credential can have much broader applications. So I look forward, to more development in this area. I thank you again and all the panel members and speakers and guests for today. Look forward to having connection with you in the future. This is day 1. There is day 2 on the 19th. So hope to see you soon, and goodbye for now. Thank you.